You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and man, a true honor. We have a special guest who is a returning guest. We had him on not too long ago. It was about a year ago. We have the one and only Lieutenant Colonel Jason G. Pike. He is USA retired. And first and foremost, I just want to say it's great to catch up with him because I know you've been busy. You also have a new book that we're going to be discussing because previously we talked to you about your book, A Soldier Against All Odds. But today we're going to be talking about a new book that you released on August 12th. And I want you to do the honors and introduce that to the audience.
Hey, it's great to be back again. Yeah, that Soldier Against All Odds has a lot of hits. It's a national bestseller. And I got another book out. It's called Leading Through the Crossfire. It's a veteran's blueprint for navigating toxic work environments. So if you've ever been in a wicked workplace where your workplace is causing hell, you might want to check out my book. I'm going to have the audio coming out in October, but I've got the print now. And it's what to do in a wicked workplace. Yeah.
When you look at the feedback from the previous books you've been able to produce out there, I mean, I know a lot of people learned a lot from our previous interview with you about just learning from the perspective from a soldier. What do you think is one of the common questions you've received since you released these books?
Yeah, that first book, it was about what is my worst experience in 31 years. I served 31 years in the Army, and it wasn't war. It wasn't getting shot at or blown up or things. It was about a toxic workplace, being thrown under the bus, or another term would be being ghostlighted. And that's addressed a bit in the first book, and there was so many questions about that. I said, well, let's just address it in another book. And that's what I've got out, is what to do in a wicked workplace. And I was thrown under the bus a few times in a place overseas, not in a war zone. And I talk about that, but I also talk about that you're not alone, and there's other veterans that come through and talk about their experiences. And I put this together. What the heck do you do? I mean, you're in a survival hell type of a mode at work. And it doesn't matter if you're in the military, and it doesn't matter. It could be the police force. It could be the civilian workforce. There's toxic bosses, supervisors, and workplaces that are throughout corporate America as well. And so I address this in a storytelling style, very simple style, yeah.
And when you identify toxic leadership, what are some of the common signs that you saw during your military experience, and also behaviors that indicate a leader is toxic?
They are kicking down and they are kissing up for the most part. And they have a narcissistic, they are all about themselves type of thing. So they're at a higher, usually they're a chief executive officer. They've kind of gone up the ranks. It could be a high-ranking military, a high-ranking official of some sort. And they've been through so many gates, and they're so damn ambitious to get what they want. They don't give a damn about the organization below. And it causes you hell, and some people want to fight against it. Like if they're talking about your back and they're doing these things to you, gaslighting you like they did me, you want to fight. But the thing is that's not gonna get you anywhere. You've got to, if you wanted to fight them, you're gonna have to document over a period of time, and the details don't lie. If they're doing this to you, you're doing that to you. You detail it out. If you can get another person to also verify these things that are going on, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the situation at work. Yes, even if there's good things, because you want to turn them in. If you do this, if you confront them, you turn it into some sort of quality control at the organization. Could be a chaplain, it could be the inspector general, and hopefully they're trusted officials that could, pounce on this and help you out. But when you read the book, I think you should just walk quietly and get the hell out of where you're at. I know that sounds like you're quitting, but they got there and they will get you. And I think you need to transfer to another job or to another place in the organization quietly without complaining. A lot of people want to fight it. And because it's really hard to document things down when you're in an emotional hell, like I was in the military. And and if you can do it, try to do it. But it's better. It's more simple if you can just not complain and try to transfer to another place. I address these options in the book and the audiobook that's coming out in October. Yeah.
Once again, we're listening to Refocus Radio, talking to our guest today, Lieutenant Colonel Jason G. Pike, USA, retired. And you go to his website, find all information on him and all his books. It's jasonpike.org. We're talking about the book today, Leading Through the Crossfire, Veterans Blueprint for Navigating Toxic Work Environments. Next thing I want to talk about is kind of break it down for the audience, distinguish what is the difference between tough leadership and toxic leadership.
Okay, tough leadership is demanding leadership. I need you to do this and to do this and to do this. And they're hard on you, and they know when you're giving it all, and they want you to give it all. They want you to give 100%. But they'll come back and say, hey, you're doing a good job. You got an award here. I think you're doing really good. They might not do it a lot, but they do it some. Toxic leadership is there is a narcissistic, they have a mental problem, or they have a narcissistic mind problem. I don't want to get into politics, but it's all about them. And you can see it, you can feel it, and you can feel that toxicity at work. It's more than a demanding boss. They could be toxic and never around and just playing games with you. They could be toxic. They could be doing sexual deviancy to you or towards other workers and don't care about the organization. It's all about them and their needs. And you can tell that there's a mental problem that's going on in that supervisor, in that toxic supervisor. Now, in my situation, when I was in South Korea, I was thrown under false charges of espionage against the U.S. government. And I had to go through procedures with the Criminal Investigation Division and the military intelligence of the U.S. Army, and it was all false. But see, they will play mind games and screw with you. It may not be, with my situation, it could be accusation of anything, or they might want to throw rumors out against you. And those things, playing those mind games with you, that's a part of toxicity, and it's all about them. And so I address all those in the book. And there's other veterans that have been in similar situations that come forward to me, and I tell this, not just my situation out, but other veterans and other people in the police forces as well.
When it comes to leadership and organizational culture and how you build rapport with, your team players, if you will, put it that way, how can organizations, in the first place, address toxic leadership, one, and two, create an environment where, yes, there's tough love, but there's also expectation for all of us to go to that next level versus having that toxic mindset?
Well, there's regulations in the military and organizations against toxic leadership. I know that, and I know they, discourage that. But it's really difficult to identify and to punish and to call out a toxic leader. They got to their position in a way that was, they're actually I'll say one thing good about them. They do get the job done. But they do it at all costs, and that's the problem. They'll do it at all costs. They look good on paper, and they look good to their boss, and they know how to kiss up and how to kick down, and they go to a point of ambition of getting the job done at a cost that it's really difficult to call them out. And that's why I'm saying, if you do want to approach these people, you better be damn careful. You better have your eggs stacked in an order before you do it. I recommend that you just sort of go to I know it sounds like quitting, but just transfer out and go somewhere else. Another good question is, how would I prevent to be, how do I know if I'm going into a toxic workplace? And I'm going through an interview and I don't know if this person's toxic or this supervisor you might want to just ask, can you say, is there any coworkers around that I could talk to just offline, just to see if I really want to work here? I know it sounds like but I would try to see if you can gauge your peer population, the other folks that are working there. What do you think about it? And just see what they say about the organization or their supervisors. Yeah.
When you look at the role support systems, how they can play while you're dealing with the situation, with your personal experience in the military, what were some strategies that you used to deal with the current situation so that way, hey, you can at least survive this?
Okay, I reached out to mental health. I went to the mental health I went to the hospital, mental health. I seek that. I seek the chaplain out there. In the military, they have a chaplain, and I talked to the chaplain. Hold on to your immediate family and friends as much as you can, because they're going to be the ones to get you through the situation. Some places, like where I was at, you just can't move, and you just don't want to quit, and sometimes it's difficult to move in a governmental organization. But I would reach out to my immediate family and friends and think, hey, is everything okay? Is everything okay? And they say, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So those were a few of the places that I used as a support network, and that you can too.
If you want more information on all the books that our guest is talking about today, go to his website, jasonpike.org. We're discussing Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike's book today, Leading Through the Crossfire, a Veteran's Blueprint for Navigating Toxic Work Environments. My next question I want to explore is, when it comes to organizational change, how can organizations create a culture that can prevent toxic leadership from taking hold?
Yeah, and it's gonna be from the top down, and you need to promote rewards and caring and bringing. It could be food into the office. It could be a collegial type of environment, not a confrontational environment. And if that can occur and start from the top of the organization, it'll filter down, and you'll have that type of attitude that will pervade throughout the throughout the subordinates, throughout the workforce. But yeah, that's going to have to be addressed at the top. Yeah.
Personal growth and development is key for anyone who's following a leader. So when it comes to personal growth and development, how can leaders implement tough love, but also promote that, hey, we're on this as a unit?
Yeah, we're in it as a unit. And tough love would be, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. But there is some sort of reward at the end of the project. There's some sort of acknowledgement. It could just be a hand note. It could be, congratulations in front of in front of the workforce. But those powers of reward, instead of negativity, promote the power of reward in that organization. And it could be very simple things to do. And it doesn't have to be an elaborate award ceremony or anything like that. It could be just hey, let's get together, let's talk, and let's congratulate some people at the end of the week or at the end of the month, what have you.
From real world applications, how can the principles and case studies that you have in your book also be applied to real world situations, such as whistleblowing or addressing systematic toxicity?
Yeah, but there is whistleblowing, there is procedures, there's quality control in various organizations that if you want to do that, you can do it. You got to understand that once you whistleblow, you better have a story. You better have who, what, when, where, and why all logged out. Hopefully just not from you over a period of time. And that sometimes can be difficult to do if you're in a hellacious, your emotions, and you're in a survival situation, just going to work, trying to deal with the environment. But that's going to be needed if you're going to blow the whistle, if you're going to those various quality control methods. So keep that in mind, and also keep in mind that toxicity is just not in just the military or the police force. It could be in other places that you may not think are there. Yeah.
If someone is listening to this right now and they are military and they feel that they are in this situation within their own story, their own experience, what words of encouragement would you give that soldier, and how can they take that next step to say, you know what, I will get through this?
Yeah, you're going to have to do a lot of self-talk, do whatever it takes. If it's your dog, talking to your dog, your family, your loved ones. I use my father, I use my family, I talk to them, and you're going to have to rely on other support networks to get you through. You could log it in as a diary. These things are happening, kind of like a cover your ass situation, just in case it really gets out of hand. And toxicity could be a relationship, and you do the same things in the relationship. If you're in an abusive relationship, who, what, when, where, and why. And you don't have to blow the whistle. You might want to wait to blow the whistle until you've got a lot of good documents and maybe videos and photographs of whatever has occurred, and then blow the whistle later. I know you want to pull that trigger. I know you want to pull the trigger, but waiting and having the patience to have a log and a story credible. For me personally, I just sucked it up through the chaplains, through the mental health, through my family, and just moved on to the next assignment. It took a toll on me, okay? And it may take a toll on you. You can try to learn from these bad leaders that this is not what to do. Some of these soldiers have said toxicity, and these supervisors taught them that this is not how to be a leader. And so you could try to take away whatever they're doing. It's probably the opposite of what you need to do as a leader or as a worker. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to dive into that even further. Your experience with other soldiers, when you came across someone who had similar experience, they felt that the environment was toxic. What was some of the ways y'all encourage each other to say, okay, we still had to be great at what we do. We're leaders ourselves, but at the same time, we had to notice that, hey, this environment might be kind of toxic.
Yeah, I had some leaders coming to me that were, in my rank, I was a lieutenant colonel. They said, hey, I know what's going on, and I don't believe this. And they would support me in ways saying, hey, just hold on, just hang in there. This person is crazy. This person is out of control. But I can see through it. A lot of other people could see through it. And they would try to put their hands on my shoulder and say, hey, just hang in there, hang in there. But yeah, those things did occur. Some people that I interviewed that for the book that didn't want to be in the book, they had been through such hell, they didn't want to come forward with their stories. But a lot of people have seen it, and they definitely know what I'm talking about. And the ones that did come forward were a few of them, and a lot of them in these, they're a bully. So in many ways, they're kind of like a bully, but it's a professional bully that occurs in the workforce. And it's probably best just to move away or to wait till they leave and not confront them. I definitely had to change some names. I've got a 4-star general that's on active duty that I changed the name on this in one of the books that's still serving. But I know the guy wants me to come forward and call him out, but it could hurt him and it could hurt me, because even though I wasn't in the situation, they go. What I'm saying is they will go and take all their power to come and destroy you at whatever cost. That's how they got up there. And again, you can't overemphasize their ambition and their ability to go after you and destroy you. Yeah.
With your 31 years of service in the United States Army, you also author a book, Out of the Uniform, Back into Civilian Life, and a guide for veterans navigating the VA benefits. I feel this is a big topic that doesn't always get discussed accurately. And with you having your own experience in the military, kind of tell us a little bit about that book as well.
Yeah, this is a self-help guide, and it's basically what I learned through transition and how to get your veterans benefits. And the reason I wrote this book is because there was no one there to help me. I really was. I was in Germany and I was retiring, and the service officer, you're supposed to go to a service officer. Without reading the book, the best thing to do is get a good veteran service officer to help you. But there was no one to help me, and I tried, and I did it on my own. In other words, I went and got my veterans benefits, and I went through all the paperwork and the processing, which I don't recommend. I don't recommend it. I recommend you get a veteran service officer, but I learned a lot. And that's why I wrote that book on how to get your veterans benefits and you might just think, oh, it's going to be a monthly paycheck or this or that. But there's so many, there's home loans, there's national park. You can go to, there's a fishing license. There's things that are free out there or very, very discounted that people don't realize, and there's so many of them, it's sort of mind-boggling, and I took advantage of a lot of it, and because I was forced to sort of fill out all the paperwork and figure it out on my own, and that's why I wanted to write a self-help guide on that book. So yeah, that's...
With your platform, you're able to not just help veterans, but those who are active duty with your insight from your personal experience. You've received a lot of feedback from not just this interview we had about last year ago. You also have a lot of feedback on your books. When you look at how people react to what you're telling, you're sharing your story, what's some of the things you're learning, not just about yourself, but just the connection between civilian life and military life?
I think what they're looking at is just a style of talking, a style of writing that's just very basic. It's a common person who went through the ranks. I started from the bottom. I went towards the top, towards the lieutenant colonel, which would be a senior executive. And I just tell you it out. I tell you in my own storytelling style, and I have no agenda other than to help other soldiers. All this I donate and to the veterans groups as well. And they can see the humble type of writing that I do and my purpose of trying to help other veterans. On jasonpike.org, I do have blog sites out. I have various podcasts that are out. And a lot of them just like the raw honesty, the good, the bad, and the ugly that I just throw out and tell you like it is, like, as if we're just sitting down at a restaurant talking.
Once again, listen, on Refocus Radio, talking to our guest today, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Pike. You can go to his website, like you just mentioned, jasonpike.org, to read all his books and his blog posts. One thing I want to ask before we sign off is if you have done speaking engagements, or if that's something that you might be doing in the future, how could someone invite you to an event to have a opportunity to have you speak?
Yeah, I can speak at various events that I've done. JasonPike.org, I have social media handles all on that website, and you can go right there and then connect with me on either LinkedIn or Facebook or what have you, and then I can go and give a speech or talk of anything regarding to never quitting, which is a soldier against all odds. It could be the veterans benefits process, or it could be just toxic leadership and what to do in a wicked workplace. I've got those 3 books up, and I could talk to a number of those types of settings. Yeah.
And one more question for you is, just like last time, if someone, a young person right now, is considering one day that they want to serve this nation, what words of encouragement will you give to that young person?
Show up at the right place, the right time, with the right attitude, and you're 50% better than most of all those other soldiers or what have you. This kind of goes not only for that, but anything in life. And you're doing better than most and having that attitude and showing up a little bit early so you can do a little bit of talking and getting a little bit of insight and things. And that's what I would do, and you would be better than most people, even if you don't know anything. Yeah.
Once again, I want to say to our special guest today, it's a true honor having you back in the studio. And like always, I want to say thank you for your time.
Hey, thank you.